Alright guys, I had these two bottles of Great Stuff gap filler spray insulation from a few years ago, hoping that they'll still work. But I'm going to use them to fill in this really thick void of this crack in my garage. I just want something to make it so if those wheels on my lumber cart roll over top of it, it won't actually sink down into it too far, and I can kind of bounce over top of it. So to start, I'll vacuum it out really fast and then try to fill it in, and we'll see if this works. This is kind of a DIY hack. I didn't really want to have to mix up some concrete and put it in here because it will probably just crack again. So see if this works. Just really don't want to break another wheel on my lumber cart moving over top of it, because this is right where I need to put my lumber cart. So let's do it. If you see my other video on the rolling lumber cart, you now probably know how much frustration that this crack has caused me, and I just wanted to find a solution that would work for the time that I'm in this shop. I won't be here forever, and I don't want to have to put too much effort into the concrete slab, and so came up with this idea because I had these bottles of Great Stuff spray foam insulation laying around in my shop. One of them didn't work. I shook it up. They recommend shaking the bottle for at least 60 seconds before you use it. And this first one, which I think was just for smaller cracks, smaller voids, was actually empty, which is kind of a bummer. You'll see here in a second that I tried to use it, and it didn't even work. It wasn't empty, but it was just too old to actually use. But then I was able to use this black canister, which is the one that is meant for bigger cracks. So it actually worked out well when I used it and sprayed into this pretty deep crack in the concrete slab. This stuff is kind of interesting when you start spraying it. If you've ever used it, you know that it tends to expand. So even though it's this big, when you first spray it, after you come back to it after 10, 15, 30 minutes, whatever it is, the foam itself expands quite a bit once it cures, which is what it does here in a second. You'll see once I finish filling the cracks and I come back to it after a while, it has expanded quite a bit, which was actually really great, because then you can just take like a putty knife, a steel putty knife, or a blade, razor blade, and cut off the excess spray foam that expands above the crack in this case. If I would have had more of this stuff on hand, I probably would come back after scraping away the excess, which I'll do here in a second, and add an additional layer of the spray foam insulation. But this was the only bottle I had. Maybe I'll get some more later on. So you can see here that I came back and it had expanded quite a bit, and the spray foam had completely cured, which made it super easy to scrape it away. I first tried a knife, and that actually was just too sharp, and I couldn't really push it really easily through the foam. So I came back to it with a putty knife, or one of those metal, I think it's a putty knife, and I just scraped away the excess, and it worked really well, super easy. Let me know what you think about this DIY hack, or whatever you want to call it. this solution to having a big crack in a concrete slab such as this one in my workshop. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. If you haven't, you should go check out my channel. I got lots of just random DIY projects, mainly woodworking stuff, but I'd love for you to take a visit to my channel. Check out the videos. Alright, take care.